During this 4 o'clock, time to begin our afternoon meeting. This time I'll turn it over to City Manager Larry.
Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. Good afternoon. This afternoon's session is a continuation of a presentation series that we began in March, the purpose of which is to build familiarity with the resourcing of possible initiatives in city and of city functions, and to provide some initial insights on the budget that will be delivered to you next week. Today's topics, we'll spend a few minutes on, or I'd like to spend a few minutes highlighting the information from March 3rd, 17th, and April 7th. I hope to have time for you to hear 4 to 6 SWOT presentations. Following that, you'll hear from Lisa, a fiscal perspective, an update, and some of our preliminary budget components. And as time permits, wrap up and highlight what's coming up at your future budget meetings. Briefly, before we begin formal presentations, recap of the March 3rd session. There were 2 theme presentations, as you may recall. We touched on facilities and branding. The first, facilities. Tanya indicated our existing centers are being used adequately. However, the city should improve the alignment of programs with interest and demand, eliminate those lacking adequate following, and develop facilities supporting clusters and neighborhoods. The second theme presentation, we heard from Pete, and he discussed branding that can energize our team, build a cohesive message, and help unify our efforts to market ourselves and present a distinguishable identity. There were 3 SWOT presentations. My takeaways from those were, first from the human resource area. The compensation in the form of pay and benefits will increasingly affect our organization. Finance felt an impact of technological and policy obsolescence. And from fire, that they're feeling staffing shortfalls and feels the effects of inadequate compensation. From March 17th session, major takeaways that I got were, first, there were 3 theme presentations: employee retention strategies, second, master plans, third, industry recruitment, acquisition, and airport as a catalyst. First, from theme employee retention strategies, Deborah identified investing in training, supervisory development, and compensation. Investing in all 3 of those areas were important. That we have nearby competitors, cities such as Charlotte, Matthews, Indian Trail, perhaps Concord. Also industry in the form of regulated and non-regulated utilities each of these will take our employees if we're not competitive. And thirdly, investing in pay for performance and classification and pay studies. Both provide management with tools to incentivize performance and achieve competitive pay, and these will increase retention. The second theme involved master plans. We heard from Lisa that there are 4 basic master plans, the core ones being downtown, recreation, greenway, Concord Avenue, and land use transportation. However, if you think in terms of some of the conceptual initiatives or plans that we have on the books, we could include the Scott Safety Property across from City Hall, Sutton Park, and proposed industrial park number 3 in the mix. These are, I consider all these on the table. And although these plans are subject to change, at some level it requires a buy-in over the long haul. Without our buy-in, our ability to influence development for the future of our community, our ability to influence development is substantially diminished. The third theme, industrial recruitment, acquisition, and airport as a catalyst. Chris and Peter demonstrated value towards investing for growth to sustain our commercial tax base, which has the opportunity of offsetting costs of services to our residents. Also, we have long and near-term opportunities in the form of adding product through building a spec building, supporting the redevelopment of Sutton Park, which may be more of an intermediate term initiative, and for the longer term, the creation of a third industrial park or business office park. Each of these can advance our future as a place to live and work. And lastly, the airport enables. It has features of a regional hub, supports tourism, and also is an economic stimulator, supporting industry, and most recently, customs traffic. We had one SWAT presentation on the 17th. We heard from Russ in terms of water resources and the feeling that they need to adhere to best practices derived from business principles. Felt that there was a staff deficit and lapses in investing in those personnel had occurred. The growth of infrastructure via collaboration and partnerships, and that assets are reaching the end of their life cycle and will require greater investment. You may recall we had two community forums on April 9th and 13th. Attendance fell short of the desired levels, certainly what I had hoped. However, our city staff's preparation was exceptional. It made me very proud. I was incredibly impressed. We had a few notable participant comments. One, public transit interests were heard, housing opportunities for seniors, better and more signs for parks in our facilities. The Citizens Academy was applauded, and there was some interest for tours of our wastewater treatment facility, among others. The April 7th session, a few comments. We had two theme presentations: deferred maintenance and staffing challenges. Brian outlined some facility needs and identified 9 areas that total approximately $2.3 million in requirements. Also, police headquarters need estimated cost range from $5 to $7 million, and a fire station with estimated cost range between $4 and $6 million. In terms of streets, Jim described a resourcing need for an additional approximately $500,000 to sustain pavement condition rating levels, and an additional $1.4 million to improve conditions to good, or PCR of 80. PCR meaning pavement condition rating. The current funding is just under $1 million, and we have a growing trend. Currently, there's 40% of our city roads are rated worse than fair, meaning they're poor or very poor. This is a growing trend. In terms of sidewalks, Jim identified requirements of more than $7 million. And that's inclusive of 29 projects dating back to a 96 priority rating system program. The second thing was staffing challenges. You heard from 5 departments. Engineering identified they had lost approximately 4 positions through a RIF back in fiscal year ending 2011. And Jim indicated that current requirements are in the range of 4 full-time positions and 2 part-time. That totals a little more than 300,000. Chief Bryan projects longer response times, less visibility, and less citizen engagement at current staffing levels. And I don't believe he mentioned it during his briefing, but we have talked about his application for a staffing grant, augmenting his staffing, I believe through the Governor's Highway Safety Program. Chief Ron identified in the fire department a loss of 4 positions through the RIF, totaling approximately $190,000. Chief Ron has submitted a staffing grant for temporary funding. I believe that's a safer grant.
I think so.
Recreation identified 3 position requirements: program coordinator, facility manager, HVAC technician, totaling approximately $240,000 plus a vehicle. There's a partial offset of about $55,000 from reduced contracted services. In terms of energy, Don identified 3.5 personnel requirements for electric and gas in the electric area, 2.5 positions, totaling about $230,000, with a partial offset of approximately $40,000 in reduced contracted services. And in gas, one personnel requirement of approximately $66,000 plus a vehicle. We heard one SWAT presentation, and that was from police. Chief Ryan identified, re-emphasized the need for a headquarters building. The pay is not competitive, and that there were staffing shortfalls and a lapse in investing in those personnel. This slide gives you an overview of the remaining presentation dates and topics. Today, again, will be SWOT presentations and fiscal perspective. On this slide, I've highlighted the suggested presentation sequence for today and the remaining SWOTs. The structure that you saw previously involving 2 types of presentations are going to be continued today with in the form of a theme and a number of SWOT presentations. Today's theme will focus on a fiscal perspective with insights on reevaluation, major capital and operating budget elements being proposed. And again, SWOT assessments, which gives you more of a department level perspective. During the last 3 sessions, council heard from HR, finance, fire, water resources, and police. And today I'd like to tee up engineering, and we'll hear from Jim. As Jim's getting up there, at about 5:15, I'd like to suggest transitioning from the SWOT presentations to hear from Lisa and the fiscal perspective. And that'll allow us to conclude around 5:35 and allow us, those that want to get a bite to eat, take a water break or what have you, and get seated for the 6 o'clock meeting. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jim for engineering. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Engineering Department SWOT analysis. Strengths. One strength identified was teamwork. I am referencing the teamwork displayed not only within my department, but also across the city with other departments such as Park and Recreation, Police, and Fire. We often come together to assist each other and make things happen. We also work with outside agencies, such as the North Carolina Department of Transportation. For example, the Street Division and Parks and Recreation work with the Department of Transportation Street, US Highway 74 4 times a year. And this is part of our effort to improve the appearance of the Highway 74 corridor. The city provides 2 sweeper trucks and personnel to edge and sweep the roadway, with the Department of Transportation providing a crash attenuator truck for safety. Institutional knowledge, long tenure. The engineering department has a professional staff with 5 registered professional engineers, which I'm pretty proud of. This provides for a wide variety of expertise, from a mixture of experience in construction to site development to stormwater and the environment. We also have a professional working relationship with other government entities and associations. Not only do we work with the local district office of the Department of Transportation, we maintain direct contact with the division office to address traffic concerns and to implement special projects. One of these projects is the Sickles Shortcut sidewalk improvements that's to be constructed from Red Fox Run to Barbie Farms. We're also members and work with several organizations. To name a few, we work with the American Public Works Association and the Stormwater Association of North Carolina with Chris Costner. He's our stormwater supervisor, and he's the current president of that association. The Street Division, we feel, is pretty versatile, and they have an excellent response time to critical circumstances. The division is very capable at paving, as well as at completing concrete and drainage improvements. Some past projects of note include the Main Street Plaza, the J. Ray Sheep Parking Garden, and the downtown sound system. Recently, we completed 2 streetscape projects along Haines Street, which include sidewalk, stamped pavers, irrigation, street lighting. Regarding response time, we are ready to respond to any emergency. One of my favorites is response time for the Colony Road Corporate Fair in 2010. I feel this shows our versatility and adaptness to respond to critical circumstances. A 60-inch corrugated metal pipe on Colony Road fell to an extensive rainfall. We demobilized from one project site after a 1-week delay for materials to begin repair. This was a one-way in and one-way out situation for the neighborhood, and we maintain access for the citizens throughout the duration of this project as we reinstalled a 60-inch concrete pipe. The stormwater utility is another strength we identified. The stormwater utility enables projects to be funded in every neighborhood of the city. Prior to the utility, we would investigate concerns and recommend remedies, but few citizens were willing to spend their share of the cost for the materials. Now with funding provided by the utility, the engineering department has the opportunity to improve drainage systems, address localized flooding, erosion throughout the corporate limits. Weaknesses, staffing levels for the street division. In fiscal year of 2011, the street division was restructured from 21 to 17 employees. This, coupled with employees being out for various reasons such as sick leave, vacation, has resulted in a decrease in overall productivity of the division. Currently, we've had almost the entire fiscal year 2 positions vacant. We're constantly shuffling work